Go ahead.
Yep, we're live. So we'll call the meeting to order. Please disclose any pecuniary interests if they arise. And our YouTube link is there for those who are watching or would like to review later. And we'll go in, there's no correspondence and no delegations tonight. So we'll go right into new business, and I'll hand it over to the Parks and Rec.
Thank you. So I'll start out with our the Parks and Rec report on page 2 of the agenda package. And with regards to the general information, this report was prepared Monday morning, and the information for COVID-19 is now historical information, as we did have a provincial announcement yesterday that changes the provincial orders as of 12:01 a.m. tomorrow morning, so Thursday, January 14th. And instead of a shutdown, I guess, well, it's a lockdown now for 28 days, which ends on February 11th. So we've gone from yellow zone up until from November 30th to December 26th. Then we went to the shutdown that was supposed to end on January 22nd, but now we are into, I guess it's a lockdown until February 11th. Parks and Rec staff are working on site, physically distancing and using the proper PPE. And as a manager of Parks and Rec, as outlined in the notice, when possible, working from home. So I am working from home right now.
So is the staff, Teresa? Oh, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year, John.
Nice to see everybody. Is it the same staff we had pre-December numbers, like at staff, or have you had to cut down their hours, or is anything changed in that way for them?
No, staff are working the same amount of hours at this point. Yep. And I'm not going to go through the rest of this because it pertained to the previous shutdown, if that's okay with the committee.
Yeah.
Where would you like to pick it up? Is there
in the Watford Community Arena, there's still things that I can highlight in there.
Yeah.
So that's on the top of page 3.
Okay.
So with regards to where we were and where we're going, we had indicated that ice is continued. It's still in the arena with the anticipation of the restart for January 23rd. But we did note that maintaining ice would be under review should a shutdown remain in effect into February. So we will be reviewing that. Parks and Rec staff, so we've been busy with the cleanup and disinfecting, which we had already planned to do, but we didn't really have a great amount of time to get it done. We only had one day. So we are doing the same process that we did back in August prior to opening the arena for customers, and they are completing the tool blitz. Just wanted to note that the lighting improvements from the reopening plan exits were completed, and we did receive feedback that with one truck parked there, one township truck, that it seemed to be okay. The sight lines were better, and so we haven't changed any of that at this point. And I guess everything is pretty much on hold now until there's a point that we would reopen.
Oh, yes, John and Martina. John?
Okay, just go back a couple points. What's your thought process on how long you'd keep the ice in? Like, is it going to be middle of February if we're done by the middle of February, or is it the end of February? You're thinking it's not worth keeping it in, or is there have you thought about a timeline? And
we're actually, that's a great question, John, and we're going to be reviewing that over the next couple of days. There's a lot of factors that we have to look at, and I just don't have the answer right now.
what's the cost? What's the cost about weekly or for to keep
And
the ice in?
that's what we're going to be looking at. And to see, because for 4 weeks, knowing that we would have if you took it out, that would take 1 week of that 4 weeks, and then or a little bit less, right? But then putting back in another week, so that would have been 2 weeks out of your 4 weeks. Staff would have been dedicated to those process. And would it be worthwhile to take it out then for really technically only 2 weeks? Because your compressors, well, 3 weeks your compressors wouldn't be running, but you're still back in the process of making ice. An extended period of time is something we need to look at now. So, and short answer is I don't have an answer right now. It's being reviewed.
Okay, thanks.
And sorry, Amanda has something to add to that. Sorry.
A great question, John, and thank you, Teresa, for letting me add my 2 cents. So we have begun that analysis, and we are working with our partners in other municipalities to understand their processes as well. And we actually are planning a report to council. So we consider in Warwick ice removal or ice in, given the financial impacts of either decision or the service impacts, a council decision. And so we will be bringing a report to council on January 20th. We just made that decision today, which will include a more fulsome analysis as well as some of those financial components, service level components as well. So we'll make sure to circulate that to the Parks and Rec Committee when we have it available for that upcoming public agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Martina, did you have a question?
I did, yeah. So one of them was John's. So thanks, John.
You're
And
welcome.
then I just wanted, I still do, it feels silly right now because the arena is closed, but I still do have a couple of concerns about that parking discussion that we've had. Amanda, is there any way I can share my screen? Like, do I have permission to do that or not? I just have a picture to show so I can explain what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's my concern. I did notice that there was less vehicles parking there. As you can see on the one side where there's no snow, it still really doesn't promote this as a pathway when the truck is parked over halfway over the walkway. So kids are still coming out the door and going right into the parking because it's too tight for them there. It just isn't a very promoted walkway. And the other side, it was a night where we had gotten snow that day. And my concern is we have lots of young kids who are coming out of the building still in their skates because they can't undo their own skates. So they're coming out in skate guards or those roller guards, which are another complaint for me, but my kids have them. So they're little wee wheels, right? So if we're going to promote this as a walkway and this is where we want them to go through, it needs to be clear of vehicles and it also needs to be clear of snow.
And sorry.
Yeah, Teresa?
So I just wanted to add something too, and I probably should have mentioned this before, but a few things have changed now that we are for sure on a lockdown, and so it will depend when we're moving forward, if we're moving forward with ice in. But just to let you know, Martina and the entire committee, that on the construction plans, that is actually a sidewalk. It will be changed to a sidewalk. So it will be, I guess, identified clearly as that, as opposed to what it is right now. That it will be a sidewalk all along, I believe, the entire west wall. And it will connect with the front of the building and continue to connect. So I'm talking with my hands and I know you can't see me doing this. And it will continue to connect in front of the new portion of the building also. And we're just working on those measurements with the architect right now.
That parking.
I know that's down the road, but.
There won't be parking there at all on that wall anymore, will there?
No, there will still be parking, but it will be, I guess it'll be a defined, this is a sidewalk and parking space.
Okay.
So I know that doesn't answer the question for right now, but yes, it's still on, I can still keep it on the radar and keep that in mind for reopening.
Anything else you'd like to touch on tonight? Oh,
Oh,
Wayne,
sorry.
or do you?
Just wondered, have you scheduled the equipment replacement for the compressor yet?
Oh, for the
Yeah.
condenser? No, we have not scheduled it yet. It's been ordered, but it has not been scheduled.
Okay, because it might, that, a lot of that depends on whether the ice is in, with your timing, so.
Yes, so depending on what our outcome is on the review of ice in or removal, yes, because we would have to have the compressors off for a certain amount of time when we're making that change out. So it would make more sense for us to wait to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, continue, Teresa, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So the halls are again at they're closed to the public. And the biggest thing is to note for the arena and the halls that cancellations were made for the shutdown period. Notifications and refunds are in place. And now we'll be looking at doing that up until February 11th. So that all the users and notification also of all of that. We have not done that yet because the notice was yesterday. Just to let you know, the Christmas decorations were installed the week of November 23rd. So it was a seamless transition between the Legion banners and then putting up the Christmas decorations. It was done at the same time. And Christmas decorations were removed on January 4th. And staff in the park system are working on tree trimming, stuff that we weren't able to get done previously. And then we do have the Watford and Warwick ballparks. The netting is still in progress. And I do have to double check on construction during shutdown, whether or not we're able to proceed with that, as well as the library and the museum work that needs to be done. On page 4, the top is our construction progress report. And this is the same report that was provided to council last night, as well as the campaign feasibility study report. And I guess I would leave it possibly open. Would it be okay to the chair for questions on both these reports?
Yep, if
As
there are
opposed to
any.
going through them?
Yeah, John or Martina have any questions on those?
No.
Okay.
No.
And
Yeah, we'll continue.
yep, we'll move through to page 6. Oh, sorry. And that is also from council last night. Pleased to say that council has approved Monteith Brown Planning Consultants to complete our development of the Master Parks, Recreation, Tourism, and Culture Plan. So I will be following up with Monteith Brown to get the process started. And there will be interviews as part of that. And I'm most likely, the Parks and Rec Committee will be a part of that stakeholder group, one of the stakeholder groups anyways, to be interviewed as part of the process. And what's good about this is that it sort of ties into the work that we're doing now with the new build and the arena renovations. And we're anticipating January to June, but completion date in June of this project. But that being said, we have had to move things on occasion to work around the COVID restrictions. But most of the interviews, everything will be done via Zoom or telephone. We won't be doing those in person.
Great, thank you.
And I'm pleased to say I'd previously shared with the committee that 4 of our staff were enrolled in the basic arena refrigeration course online, and we're completing that while they were doing their regular duties. And all 4 were successful in completing the course.
Great.
So those 4 plus 1 already that had it, and including myself, we now have 6 staff that have basic arena refrigeration. So we look forward to doing more certification with Ontario Recreation Facilities Association. and perhaps getting someone as a certified ice technician would be a great goal for our department. On page 7, programs and events. So again, because of COVID, program and event planning is on hold right now. I did have discussions with the Optimist Club about hosting a family day event. But given that that is going to be like 4 days or so after we open, that is if we get to fully open on February 11th, or February 12th, which I doubt, it's not likely going to happen this year. So again, it's unfortunate for another great event, but I look forward to doing it next year with them.
Mhm.
And just to note that I have agreed to sit on 2 committees as a representative of the Township of Warwick. And one is the Lambton Public Health Extreme Temperature Stakeholders. And because we do have a cooling center, and that I think primarily that's why we were invited to this group. And it's been beneficial because they also share information, for example, emergency shelters and what we would need to do with regards to opening an emergency shelter during COVID.
Yeah.
So we have had review of that. And we've shared that information actually with one of the volunteer conveners with the Optimist Club, who are volunteers for an emergency shelter, should we need to do one. And then also I am going to sit on the Lambton County Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Advisory Committee. And so I'm just getting started on that. And Amanda, and I believe it was Nancy, has shared the information with me, and I'll be attending the next meeting on that. And that's all I have tonight.
Excellent. And if there's nothing else, we'll go back. Is there anything in the attachment A? It's just the minutes. Do we need to approve those, Amanda? Nope. Just for information. Any questions there? Seeing none, any other business?
I want to congratulate Teresa on thinking about that emergency shelter for heat. Like Warwick was nabbed pretty good, and what was they call it, Snowmageddon or whatever?
Yep.
Geez, yeah, what would you do? Like if we lose power in the village, or 402 gets shut and we get 100 people showing up at our doorstep.
It would just, well, thanks. It's a lot of guidance from the senior leadership team, including Amanda, of things that are sort of streamlined within the Parks and Rec department. And yeah, so our goal is to be ready and able to accept evacuees should we need to, but hoping that we don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. And maybe just keep us up to date on what your learnings are on that. So.
Definitely.
Excellent. Well, if there's nothing else, can I ask for someone to move adjournment then?
First, could we do a receive and file of the staff report first,
like.
Chair
Sure.
White?
Yep.
Thank you.
And somebody to second that, Wayne, and I saw a hand up. John's moving his screen, taking that as a vote.
That'll work.
Tina, all in favor? Thank you. Okay. And
Thank you.
And now we can move for adjournment if someone will do that. Martina, thank you. And seconded by John. I saw that. All in favor. Great. Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone.